Be me, I am 24 years old. I am in my final year of university, studying history and sociology. I work part-time at a warehouse to pay my tuition fees. I am living in a small studio apartment on the edge of the city. It is a rainy Tuesday in November. The sky is the color of wet concrete, and the air smells like damp wool and car exhaust. I walk into the lecture hall for modern social dynamics. This is a mandatory elective credits course that I need to graduate. The professor is a middle-aged woman named Dr. Harrison, who speaks very softly but carries a heavy grading rubric. I sit in the back row near the radiator because the heating in my apartment is broken. I pull out my laptop and a beaten-up notebook. The class fills up with the usual mix of tired students and eager activists. Dr. Harrison taps the microphone. She announces that today is the day we get our semester partner assignments. Groans ripple through the room. Group projects are the bane of my existence. I usually end up doing all the work while someone else takes the credit. Dr. Harrison starts reading names from a list. I zone out, looking at the rain hitting the window. Suddenly, I hear my name called out. Ethan, wait for your partner. I look up to see who I am paired with. It is a female student sitting in the front row. Her name is Sienna. I know exactly who she is. Sienna is the most vocal student in the course. She is very intelligent but incredibly intense. She is the president of the campus Social Justice Alliance. She has short dark hair and wears oversized glasses. She always carries 3 different highlighters and a stack of reference books. My heart sinks a little. I just want to keep my head down and graduate without trouble. She turns around and scans the room looking for me. I raise my hand halfway. She spots me and gives a polite but tight smile. The class ends and I walk down to the front. I stand awkwardly while she packs her bag with military precision. Hey, I am Ethan. She nods and zips her bag. I know I am Sienna. She looks at me with a critical eye. So we are paired for the final research paper. The topic is gender roles in the 21st century. I can already feel a headache forming behind my eyes. She adjusts her glasses. Look, Ethan, I take my grades very seriously. I am aiming for a perfect score on this project. I hope you are willing to put in the work. I nod slowly. Yeah, of course, I need this credit too. She pulls out a planner. Good. We need to meet to establish our thesis. Are you free tomorrow afternoon? I check my mental schedule. I have a shift at the warehouse from 4 to 10. I can do 2 o'clock. She writes it down. Meet me at the campus coffee shop. Do not be late. She walks away fast. I stand there for a moment, watching the empty lecture hall. This is going to be a long semester. I walk home in the rain. I get to my apartment and kick off my wet boots. I eat a cold sandwich over the sink. My phone buzzes. It is my friend Marcus. Marcus is a good guy, but he has been struggling lately. He dropped out of engineering last year because of burnout. Now he works nights as a security guard. The text says, "You around tonight, man?" I reply, "No, got to study for a big project." He replies, "Cool, maybe weekend." I feel a pang of guilt. We have not hung out in weeks. Male friends drift apart so easily when life gets heavy. I sleep poorly that night. I dream about endless boxes on conveyor belts. The next day arrives. I arrive at the coffee shop at 1:55. Sienna is already there. She has a laptop open and 2 books stacked on the table. She has bought a coffee for herself and nothing else. I sit down across from her. Hey, she looks up. You are early, good. She turns the laptop screen towards me. I have drafted a few potential thesis statements. I am mostly focusing on the impact of patriarchal structures on female career progression, or maybe the inherent toxicity of male spaces in corporate environments. I read through the list. They are well written but very one-sided. I rub the back of my neck. These are interesting, Sienna. But the assignment is about the changing nature of roles for everyone, right? She raises an eyebrow. Sure, but the power dynamic is the most critical element to analyze. I sigh internally. Look, if we want a top grade, we need something unique. Everyone else is going to write about the wage gap or corporate ceilings. Why don't we look at the other side of the coin? She looks confused. What other side? I hesitate. The crisis of purpose for young men, the suicide rates, the drop in college enrollment, the loneliness epidemic. Sienna leans back and crosses her arms. Her expression hardens. Oh, so you want to make this about how hard men have it? I knew this would happen. I keep my voice calm. No, I want to make it about the whole picture. You asked what went wrong with society. You cannot answer that if you ignore 50% of the population. She stares at me for a long time. Silence stretches between us. The coffee machine hisses loudly in the background. Fine, she says finally, but I am not writing a puff piece full of excuses for bad behavior. If we do this, we do it with rigorous data, and we interview real people. I want the brutal truth, Ethan, not just complaints about how girls will not date nice guys. I nod firmly. Deal. We spend the next hour outlining the structure. She is surprised that I have actual statistics memorized. I tell her about the workplace injury rates. I tell her about the education gap. She takes notes silently. We agree to meet again on Friday to start the interviews. I leave the coffee shop feeling drained. I go to my warehouse shift. I spend 6 hours lifting heavy crates. My back aches and my hands are dry and cracked. I look around at the other men on the shift. Most of them are older than me. They are guys in their 40s and 50s with tired eyes. Nobody talks much. We just work, sweat, and go home. Break time comes. I sit on a concrete block outside with a guy named Frank. Frank is 52 and divorced. He pays alimony and child support for kids he rarely sees. Hey, Frank, I ask. How are you holding up? He lights a cigarette and looks at the night sky. Just living the dream, kid. Paycheck to paycheck. He laughs, but there is no humor in it. You finish that degree, Ethan. Get out of here. Do not end up like me. I nod and eat my apple. This is the reality Sienna does not see. Friday rolls around. I meet Sienna at the university library. We have a private study room booked. She has a voice recorder set up. Okay, she says, we need primary sources. I have scheduled interviews with 3 female students about their experiences. Who do you have? I pull out my phone. I have Marcus coming in at 4, and I asked my dad if he would talk to us on speakerphone later. She looks skeptical. Your dad? Yeah, he is a retired factory worker. He is an old school kind of guy. I thought his perspective might be valuable. She shrugs. All right, let us start. Marcus arrives looking tired. He is wearing a hoodie and has dark circles under his eyes. He sits down nervously. Sienna has her pen ready. So, Marcus, she begins. Tell us about your experience with societal expectations. Marcus looks at me for help. I nod encouragingly. Just tell the truth, man. Marcus takes a deep breath. Well, I was always the smart kid, you know. Everyone told me I was going to be an engineer or a doctor. My parents put all this pressure on me. I had to be the provider, the success story. I got to engineering school and I just crashed. I could not handle the stress. I felt like if I failed, I was worthless. Sienna interrupts gently. Worthless in what way? Marcus looks at his hands. Like as a human being. If a man is not building something or earning money or winning, then what is he? He is invisible. Nobody cares about a guy who is struggling. Females want a guy who is successful. Parents want a son to brag about. Society wants a taxpayer. When I dropped out, I stopped getting calls from people. Even my family looks at me with pity. I feel like I disappeared. Sienna stops writing. She looks at Marcus intently. Do you really feel that your value is entirely tied to your utility? Marcus laughs a sad, dry laugh. Absolutely. Women have value just by being. Men have value only by doing. If I died tomorrow, the only thing that would change is the security shift roster. The room goes quiet. Sienna looks down at her notes. Thank you, Marcus. That was very honest. Marcus leaves and the room feels heavier. Sienna is quiet for a while. That was depressing, she says. I nod. That is the reality for a lot of guys. We do not have a support network. We do not cry on each other's shoulders because we are taught to be rocks. Rocks do not bleed, they just crack. She looks at me with a strange expression. Is that how you feel too? I shrug. Sometimes. Let us call my dad. I dial the number and put it on speaker. My dad answers on the second ring. Hello, Ethan, is everything okay? Yeah, Dad. I am here with my project partner, Sienna. We just want to ask you a few questions about being a man in your generation. Dad clears his throat. Oh, all right. Hello, Sienna. Hello, sir, she says respectfully. Dad, tell us about your toughest time. There is silence on the line. Well, I guess when the plant closed down in '98. I lost my pension and my salary overnight. Your mother was pregnant with your sister. I felt like I had failed the family. I did not sleep for weeks. I worked 3 jobs just to keep the lights on. Janitor, night watchman, and delivery driver. I never saw you kids growing up. I missed your baseball games. I missed birthdays, but there was food on the table. Sienna leans toward the phone. Did you ever resent that? Resent having to sacrifice your life for work? Dad laughs softly. Resent it. No, that is the job, Sienna. A man does what he has to do. You take the hit so your family does not have to. You stand in the rain so they stay dry. It is not about happiness. It is about duty. But did you ever want to do something else? She asks. Did you have dreams? Dad pauses. I wanted to be a musician once. I played the guitar pretty well, but guitar players do not pay mortgages. So I sold the guitar and bought a set of tools. No regrets. You kids turned out good. That is all that matters. We finish the call. Sienna turns off the recorder. She sits back in her chair and takes off her glasses. She rubs her eyes. I never thought about it like that, she says softly. Thought about what? The sacrifice. She looks at me. I always saw the patriarchy as men taking everything for themselves, hoarding power and money, but talking to Marcus and your dad, it sounds like a prison. I lean forward. It can be, it is a trade-off. We get power in some areas, sure, but the price is our emotional lives. The price is that we are disposable. If the ship is sinking, women and children go first. Men stay and drown. That is the deal. Sienna stands up and walks to the window. She looks out at the campus. So what went wrong? She asks. Why is it getting worse now? Why are men so angry and lost? I join her at the window. Because the deal changed. Sienna, men are still raised to be providers and protectors. We are still told our value comes from what we bring to the table. But the world does not need us to protect it from bears anymore. And the economy makes it impossible to provide on a single income. So we have all this pressure to be the hero, but no way to actually be one. And when we try to talk about it, we get told we are privileged and should shut up. So we just check out. Video games, drugs, porn, isolation. It is easier to numb the pain than to fight a battle you cannot win. Sienna turns to look at me. Her eyes are wet. I am sorry, she says. For what? For assuming. For thinking I knew everything. I looked at men and saw the enemy. I did not see the human being struggling behind the mask. I feel a lump in my throat. It is rare to hear someone actually admit that. Thanks, Sienna. We work on the project for the next 2 weeks. The dynamic is completely different now. We are not fighting, we are collaborating. We interview more people. Guys from my warehouse, guys from the gym, even one of her ex-boyfriends who she calls up. That was an awkward conversation, but a breakthrough one. He told her he broke up with her not because he did not love her, but because he felt like he could never be good enough for her. He said she was always judging his ambition. She cried after that interview. I sat with her and handed her tissues. We are sitting in my apartment one night working on the final draft. It is late and we are drinking cheap instant coffee. Ethan, she says, yeah, do you think it can get better? Between men and women, I mean. I look at the screen full of data and stories. I think so, but it takes this. What we are doing right now, listening, dropping the defenses, realizing that we are on the same team. Men need to learn to be vulnerable. And women need to learn that men have feelings too, even if we show them differently. She nods. I think our paper is going to be good. It is going to be great. Presentation day arrives. The lecture hall is packed. Dr. Harrison calls our names. We walk up to the podium. Sienna looks nervous. I give her a reassuring nod. She takes the microphone, she starts speaking, and her voice is strong. Our project began as an analysis of gender roles. I expected to find a story of oppression and privilege. Instead, I found a story of silence and sacrifice. She talks about Marcus. She talks about my dad. She talks about the suicide statistics we found. The room is dead silent. Usually people are checking their phones, but nobody is moving. Then it is my turn. I step up. We are facing a crisis of empathy, I say. Men are hurting and they do not know how to ask for help. And for a long time, society has refused to hear them. We tell boys to man up. We tell men they are toxic. And then we wonder why they are broken. The truth is brutal. Men are not monsters. We are just people trying to carry a weight that is too heavy for us. And we need help. We need to be allowed to be human. I finish and look at the class. For a second, there is no sound. Then one person starts clapping. Then another. Soon the whole room is applauding. Even the guys in the back row who usually sleep through class are clapping. I see Marcus sitting in the corner. He snuck in to watch. He is smiling and wiping his eye. Dr. Harrison looks impressed. She writes something down in her notebook with a nod. We walk back to our seats. Sienna grabs my hand under the table and squeezes it. "Thank you," she whispers. "No, thank you," I whisper back. We get an A on the project, but that is not the important part. The important part is what happened after. Sienna and I stayed friends. We started a weekly discussion group on campus. Men and women for empathy. It sounds corny, I know, but people actually showed up. Guys started talking about their depression. Girls started listening and sharing their own struggles with expectations. It was small, but it was real. Months later, I am graduating. Sienna is there cheering for me. Marcus is there too. He started therapy and is taking night classes. My dad drove up in his old truck. He shakes my hand and pulls me into a hug. He is not a man of many words, but he whispers, "Proud of you, son." And that is enough. That night, we all go out for dinner. I sit there looking at these people. My dad, the old warrior. Marcus, the recovering perfectionist. Sienna, the former enemy turned ally. I realize something. The brutal truth was not that men are broken beyond repair, or that women are the enemy. The truth was that we were just disconnected. We were shouting across a canyon, and all it took was one person to build a bridge, to ask the question and actually listen to the answer. Sienna raises a glass. "To understanding," she says. "To being human," I reply. We clink glasses. The war between the sexes is not over, but in this little corner of the world we declared a truce, and it feels like peace. I walk home that night under the stars. The rain has stopped. The air is clear and crisp. I feel a weight lifted off my shoulders. I am just a man. And for the first time in a long time, that feels like a good thing to be. Life is hard, but we do not have to do it alone. End of story.